Alright guys, you should have your equations versus inequalities notes page in front of you. The purpose of these notes is just kind of look at the differences between the solution to an equation versus an inequality. As we go through, you're going to notice that the steps to solve them are the same in regards to we need to combine like terms the same way, we have to distribute the same way. The whole purpose is to isolate the variable. It's just the solution might mean something different. And then there's that one part about inequalities that we're going to have to go over about when we flip the sign. Maybe you already remember, but if not, we'll discuss it now. So you will be going and doing each of these 4 examples, solving the equation and the inequality. At any point in time, if you don't need to see the steps, just kind of fast forward to make sure that you got the solution. And if you did not get the correct solution, then maybe rewind and make sure that you're on the right track. Another way that you could work through this is pause the video before I do any of the work, do it yourself, and then play it to see to be sure that your steps matched my steps. Again, this is just for your benefit, so whatever you think you need to do in order to make sure you have all the right answers and you understand what to do, then that's what you need to do. So we're going to draw our line through our equal sign. We need to combine like terms here and here. So we'll have negative 11n equals 8 minus 9n. Then we'll be adding 9n to both sides. Leaves us with negative 2n equals 8. Divide both sides by negative 2. N equals negative 4. So when we move to the next side that has the inequality, we're going to follow the same steps. We'll combine our like terms. Negative 11n less than or equal to 8 minus 9n. Add 9n to both sides. Negative 2n less than or equal to 8. Now when we divide by negative 2, this is that one little step that I was mentioning before. Don't forget that when you divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality symbol. That's also true if you multiply by a negative number. If you did not remember that, or you think you might forget, go ahead and write that down on your notes page. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you flip your inequality symbol. I'm going to say it again. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, flip your inequality symbol. So when we look at the solutions to these two, this solution is just n equals negative 4. The only way to make this number sentence true, make this equation true, is if n equals negative 4. On the inequality side, this means that any value greater than or equal to negative 4. So we're going to shade this in. Any value greater than or equal to negative 4 would make the equation true. So a 0 would make it true, 100 would make it true, negative 3 would make it true, negative 3.999 would make it true, but negative 4.1 would make it false. So just remember, the difference between the two solutions is the purpose of why we're doing this. Okay, so as we move forward, I'm going to only work the inequality side step by step, and then I'm just going to flash up the steps for the equation, only because we've been working with equations for a while and the inequality part's the new part. So if at any point in time you want to pause it and not see those steps, feel free to do so. Also, please don't just go ahead and copy. Do it yourself so that you can learn something from this. So my first step here is going to be to distribute. 3p minus 9 minus 5p is greater than negative 3p minus 6. A common mistake is to distribute the 3 also to the negative 5p. However, the negative 5p is not in the parentheses, so it is not affected by that 3. From here, we have some terms to combine. Three p minus 5p would be negative 2p. Minus 9 is greater than negative 3p minus 6. So now I want to get my variables to one side and my constants to the other side. If I add 2p to both sides, I'm going to have a negative variable. If I add 3p to both sides, I'm going to have a positive variable. So that's what I'm going to do because I'd rather have a positive variable than a negative variable. If you do it the other way, that is totally your choice. So I end up with 1p minus 9 greater than negative 6, plus 9, plus 9. I don't have to write that 1, so I just have p is greater than 3. So at this point, I'm going to pause my video and fill in the steps for the equation, so if you're not ready to see that, then you should pause with me. Okay, so now's a chance for you to double check your equation work. I've also included that number line. So let's go ahead and do the number line for this one together now that we can look at both solutions and look at the difference between the two. So in this case, this equation is only true when p equals 3. In this case, my inequality is true when p is greater than 3. So I'm still going to label my 3 on my number line. This symbol means it does not include 3, so we need an open circle, and my p-values are greater than 3, meaning everything bigger than 3 is shaded in. All right, let's move on to number 3. Checking out this inequality. Drawing my line, I need to distribute positive 28, since I have a negative times a negative, and plus 28, again, the negative times a negative. And on this side, I had nothing to distribute. I can't combine any like terms, so we're just going to rewrite it. So to get my variables on one side, my constants on the other, I'm going to go ahead and add 7x, just to be sure I keep a positive coefficient in front of that variable, which leaves 28 is less than 35x plus 28. Subtract 28 from both sides. 28 minus 28 is 0, is less than 35x. And when I divide 0 by any number, the answer is 0. So this says 0 is less than x. Another way to write that would be x is greater than 0. So if you move the variable to the left and the solution to the right, you need to change your sign the other way. You notice how the big part of the symbol is pointed towards the x and the big part of the symbol is still pointed towards the x? That's how you know you did it right. So I'm going to pause and do the steps for the equation. You're welcome to do the same. All right, go ahead and check your equation answer. We have our number line where x equals 0. We can do our number line for our inequality. X is greater than 0. Again, it's not equal to 0, so we have an open circle. It's greater than 0, so we shade in the right side, the greater side of the number line. If you're very confused on what the symbols mean, that would be a great thing for you to add to your feedback form when we finish that you did not understand how to graph the various symbols. That's good information for me to know. Let's move on to number 4. This one has a lot of little parts. So first we're going to distribute -6 minus 42k greater than or equal to -7 plus 42k minus 11. When we distributed this -7, the -11 is not part of that. Now we can combine these to end up with -18 plus 42k. And then the left side stays the same. Let's go ahead and add this 42k to both sides. -6 is greater than or equal to -18 plus 84k. Add 18 to both sides. 12 is greater than or equal to 84k. Divide by 84. And 12 divided by 84 is 1/7. Now again, we can switch my variable in my solution as long as we flip the sign. So k is less than or equal to 1/7. Alright, so here's your steps for the equation, including your number line. You should be able to do this number line as well. The solution is k is less than or equal to 1/7, so anything that's less than 1/7 or equal to, so this should be a filled in circle. Next we have a word problem. Let's look at the inequality side. You want to organize a group of friends to go to karaoke studio this Friday. You must pay $30 to reserve a room, plus $5 for each person in the group. You also want to have snacks for the group at a cost of $2 per person. So to figure out all those costs, we have $30 for the room, plus $5 per person, plus $2 per person. And then it says that how many people can be in the group in order for the total cost to be at most $65. So this has to be at most 65. It could be less than 65. It could be equal to 65, but it can't be more than 65. So now that you have your inequality, I'm going to let you go from here. You're going to solve your inequality. You're going to bring over this to this side, make it an equation and solve that. And then those answers you'll be providing me on your feedback form. The very bottom, you have a place that says the main idea of solving equations and inequalities is, and the whole point is we have to isolate the variable. So be sure to write that down. The main idea is to isolate the variable. Just so you know, tomorrow when you get to class, you'll be getting something that looks similar to this. It's going to go into our notebooks. We're going to make these into little flaps. So on the front, you're going to begin solving each one of these just like we did today. Underneath, you're going to have a place to check and do your number line. So don't forget, when you finish the video, to click on that link to go to your feedback page. Fill that out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.